This conference will now be
Well,
recorded.
good day, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever we're finding you in this beautiful world. We want to thank you for joining us here at Flowerful Living Wellness Community Healing Hour. And boy, this is the Almanac. We do once a month. We do our Almanac, and we're doing it for the May 2, 2026. And boy, we're calling it Moons, Moms. No, what was it? Moons, Moms, and Monarchs. There we go. We've got it. And it's going to be a really interesting conversation. And just as always, Spirit has a lot to say about all the different things that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be looking at the flowers, the flower moon, and also there's a blue moon this month. And then we have Mother's Day, and we're going to talk about that, which is really a lot of interesting information about that. And then we're going to be moving into the monarch energy. But boy, that's really going to be very appropriate with the blue moon. So right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Miss Maria.
Well, good morning, good evening, good night, everywhere you are. So, the thing is, yesterday, before planning what we were going to talk today and what the healing was going to be about, I went out into my garden, as I usually do in the morning, for grounding, connection. And the first thing I see is a monarch,
First, you
right?
did.
Yes. So I looked at the calendar day and I told them, no, we have to do Wednesday. And it says, although monarch butterflies can beat their wing about 300 to 700 times per minute, RPMs, they are experts at gliding, which helps them to save energy during their migration to Mexico. So I told my girls, wow, this is a message. Maybe we're doing too much. Maybe we want to be super productive, but sometimes we need to glide, right? The butterflies, they blooming and they are attracting the pollinators, all of these flowers. And they are pollinators and they help to co create life between a plant and an insect, right? So I'm so glad that I finally saw this year was the first monarch. So I'm excited to see more. So even though their wings are batting really fast when they want to. And I'm sure they want to do this in their travels from North America to Mexico, right? So sometimes when there is wind that it's going fast, they decide to glide so they don't get tired and they can eat. So what is the gliding and the moving? The flat is to exert energy to move forward fast, but you glide when you trust momentum, when you know you're in the right path, and you need to just take it easy. So when you get to the end, you're rested, you're happy to celebrate, and your magic can come through. So we're going to do visualization for healing as moons, mothers, and monarchs. So I invite everybody, first of all, close your eyes. We are going to activate our heart line. And we also, with our intention, we're going to activate the heart line of the group And everyone who's watching us, remind you about the hairline. It is an axis that has intelligence. It is like a wormhole and is in the fifth dimension, not to be confused with the prana tube. So breathe in your heart. Make sure that is straight. And if it's not straight, with your intention, your magic hands, just soften the edges and make it straight. And it's beautiful too, because in my country of origin, where my parents came from, we celebrate the maypole. And we used to call, well, we still call it the dancing pole. So imagine that each one of us has a beautiful ribbon in your hand. And we're going to start kneading each one of us, going up and down, up and down, making sure that our heart is straight, beautiful, colorful, and flowing up and down. Feel the flow. So now you imagine, go to your heart or go to the seat of the soul, which is around the thymus. And this is in the heart line. And the seat of the soul has your purpose and your mission. So imagine you are there, your beautiful egg in a leaf, on top of a leaf. And you just got there and you're wondering what your purpose and mission is. So you get out of your egg and you become a caterpillar, beautiful caterpillar, but you're hungry. You are the very hungry caterpillar. Big, 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 eating everything, saving and storing energy for what is to come. You eat everything around you. You might eat the occasional small insect. It's okay. You're saving up energy and growing. Now you feel like your body is growing suddenly, and you start producing this substance that becomes patterns, and it surrounds you with crystal light, crystal structures, and you get suspended into a chrysalis. everything within you, it's being repatterned. And you allow the process because you are in the seat of your soul. You trust. You trust the process. You know you're growing. But you don't know exactly what this transformation is going to do to you, for you. But you trust the crystalline process that it's going on. And you wait patiently, happily, delightfully, waiting for the moment to arrive. And just in the spur of a moment, the chrysalis starts breaking and you move. Why? Because you don't fit there anymore. And you realize you are not a caterpillar anymore. You have new wings, but you're very cautious at first. You don't know what to do. Feel the rhythm of the first flaps of your wings and see where this flapping is taking you. I invite you to glide, being carried by invisible currents. Take a deep breath and notice what you have become. Do you know your purpose now? Do you know your mission? Do you know exactly where you're heading to? And I want you to ponder these questions right now. Where have I been over flapping? Where is life inviting me to glide? And I invite everybody as you come back, I want you to write in the chat or verbally, what are you doing this week? Flap, really strong with purpose, or gliding? What is your purpose this week? All right. Who wants to share?
That was very powerful.
Look at that.
It worked. It worked.
It worked because it works.
And I'm not a monarch, but I am my own form of butterfly.
Yes, absolutely. You see how magical is the butterfly trip? Because it's a trip, right? So anybody has any comments about it? Are you flapping or gliding this week?
I think that's a really great question. And I'm going to really start observing that more. Thank you, Maria. Well, for me, I'm a florist, and it's Mother's Day week, and of course it's going to be busy. But I think what I'm wanting to do is a little bit of both. There'll be times when I'm have to be in the moment and be flapping or whatever I need to do, but other times it's like, and I think part of that too is like there always can be a part of us that's in the glide.
Yeah,
You know, there's part of me that glides. No matter what's happening on the surface, I can still have a quiet and gliding for myself on an internal level.
good, good, good. So if you don't have any other comments, why don't we go to Amy?
Well, who knows what I'm, going to bring up now that I've fully butterflied, but we'll see. How fun, my friends. I just love us and I love what we're doing in the world individually and together. So this topic has really brought up some things for me. Uh, and I'm assuming it probably has for you too, and it will over time. Uh,
Mhm.
what what has come forward for me is being with what is unconditional mother love. So let's start there in terms of flapping, over flapping, and guiding, and how does unconditional mother love support us being in the state that is for us, for our highest good. So first off, what I'd love to have you do, you can throw it in the chat, or you can, say it, to me, maybe take a minute and just be with this. What does unconditional mother love look like and feel like to you? So maybe just take some nice deep breaths and be with that. What does unconditional mother love look like and feel like for you? There could be a person that comes to your mind. Maybe you saw it in a movie. Maybe you were blessed with a mother who was really good at that. I have a cousin who's really good at that. And Maria's a nurturing love. Oh, she's still typing yay. You get nurturing love. Again, let's take it a step further. What does that look like and what does that feel like? Oh. So Maria, you want to come in and talk a little bit about how was your grandmother good at that?
Well, my grandma was able sort of to see what was lacking at home,
Mm,
would run immediately to correct it. So I would be crying because I didn't feel okay. Or no one paid attention to me, or I was feeling lonely. And she always either had a hug or a trinket or just something, just a word, a phrase to make me feel safe, loved, be there. And no,
I love
she was very observant. And I think it's because she was a Gemini too, like
that.
me. So,
So you had that alignment.
yes, yes. But she did that with my brothers and sister too.
That's beautiful.
She would see that.
It's interesting. Somebody trying to call me, my friend Marcus, who is very much a source of unconditional love for me. Isn't that interesting? He rarely calls me. So, yeah, So part of that is right is checking in when you feel like a person needs you, right? You're saying, and really get, being with that butterfly sense instead of the spidey sense. I'm going to play with that a little bit. So with mother love, it doesn't have to be mother love, but I think again, I'm still dancing with this, and I want you guys to dance with this too. What does an unconditional love look like, feel like? So that's your homework assignment, is to spend some time with that. Is there anything else anybody else wants to say about what is unconditional love? And we're talking mother because it's Mother's Day week for one thing. I think safety for me, for sure. Knowing that I can explore different parts of myself and that's accepted. And knowing that even when I do dumb things, they look at my heart and not beat me up for it. So being with what does that look like? What does that feel like? So let's see some of the things that we said. Let's just take a minute. Oh, okay. Eugenia, you want to say something?
Yes. Like Marisabel, for me, my grandmother, from my father's side,
Mm,
for me, she was the unconditional love because I still remember. I could be like 9 years old, 10 years old. I still remember the way she hugged me. She
mm,
embraced me with that warmth. With that is like, I felt so safe, like you say, safety, and I feel love.
mm,
Because um, my parents, my father and my mother, they were very detached.
mhm.
Therefore, the only person that I felt more, that I exist,
That I
that I was
exist. Oh,
there.
let's hold with that a second. That I exist. Wow.
It was her. My grandmother from my father's side, she loved me in another way that I never understood. But guess what? She died the day that my 15 years birthday,
Wow.
December 24th, when I became. That means that she loved me no matter what, but she didn't know how to express it. Um,
Right. Right. In fact, love's an energy. Thank you, Eugenia. And
Thank you.
Maria's talking about spiritual mothers. So part of it is again, your homework assignment. I had a sixth grade teacher that changed my life. She showed me love in a different way. So they're, really seeing me and hearing me and valuing me. And so it comes in many forms. So what I want you to do is kind of start playing. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And allow yourself to be in that and experience that without being that unconditional mother love.
I think something else to think about too is I think of my daughters,
Mm,
and my daughters are very much, oh, they like to mother me.
yeah. Because right, it can come from any
It
place.
can come from any place. Yeah, it
Yeah,
can come
and I
from
think
any
that's
place. And
yeah.
and for me, that makes it validates just the way that they are with me when they are wanting to be caring and mothering for me, in the way that I've been with them to be a model for them. So there's times of me where I kind of like, bite my tongue and don't say anything and just kind of take in what they want to share, because it's a matter of them showing how much they love me, and a matter of caring and seeing things that maybe I'm not ready to see, or
Mhm.
just kind of opening the conversation to a different direction that we both are willing to go. So I think that's something that can be really wonderful for mothering as well.
So I really love that, Robin. So I want to kind of dovetail off of that a little bit in that with real unconditional love, that you feel safe, right? And it brings up stuff you need to share, you need to heal. And if you're not mindful, you can be thinking you're being attacked, right? So it's a matter of, is this person coming from love? And again, love comes in many forms, but I believe true love allows us to bring up the things that we need to bring up.
And you can put it in this way: is this person flapping too fast or
Ah,
gliding
I love that.
into?
So, if they're gliding, that's really information you need to hear. So, one of the things that we've been talking about, or maybe it's me, but I think we've been talking about, is reparenting the inner child. In order to reparent the inner child, what I recommend is first, I want to give you a little exercise that came to me this morning. And we're not going to go too deep into it, but we'll dance with it maybe a little bit later. But I'm going to gift it to you and I'm going to play with it and share how it manifested for me yesterday. First, I want you to, get ready to have your inner child come to you for, need some need of it, that or some healing or something. So first, you get into that space of unconditional mother love, you touch your heart, or imagine that person that's so amazing at being that for you, or you've seen be that with other people, or you're being that with other people. Now, from that space, allow your inner child to come forward and just share something that they need right now. And you're from this loving space. You may want to hear it, you may not, and that's all okay. From this loving space, maybe have a little conversation about, well, what would that look like, what you need, and how could I do that for you today? Or maybe it's not for me to do. Maybe I'm just supposed to hold you in love right now. Now I have the two of you have a conversation about what that could look like, and maybe some simple thing you could do today, at least to start the process. All right, nice deep breath, come back. Did anybody have their inner child bringing forth anything? Maria, did you have something? You
Yeah.
got something?
One thing that comforts me all the time when I want to feel love is I remember the hands of my grandma.
Mm,
They were so soft. And I
mm.
remember with my finger following the shapes of the veins and the bones and the skin. She loved that, but it was so calming for me. So immediately that inner child went there,
Oh,
holding my grandma's hand.
oh,
So it just it brings tears to my eyes because if I have to remember
yeah,
some from my grandma are her hands.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, my friend. Ooh. So no, this again, we're starting a process here, and I want you to be open to, I think this can change everything. I really do. So I want to share how this kind of came to me yesterday, and I kind of flew in. We love you, Maria. Flew in this morning. So I, out of nowhere, I got a call from a national organization that I support that they wanted me to come on and do a podcast in an hour on how to support military families when their military member deploys. And it just, I was like, of course, I'm an expert on this from my personal life and the work that I do in the world. But it was like there was a part of me totally freaking out. And I had minutes to decide. So what I realized was my inner child, you can't do this. Who do you think you are? And I calmed myself down, brought forward my unconditionally loving mother, and she and I had a conversation. All of us, me now, in my mother, unconditionally mother, and my inner child who was being a brat is like, no, I don't want to do it. They'll make fun of us. So we all kind of talked, okay, how could we do this in a way that we all feel safe? How can we do this in a way for highest good? And I was able, through that process, to get ready to do it, said yes, and then did it. And even to go through doing it. I mean, I could have done it better. I could have done it more perfect. And I was catching my inner self going, and I kept, again, I love the hand thing. I have to come up with something that will work for me to really bring you to that point. So I want you to play with this exercise. I believe this will help you to fly, to use the wings when you need to, and to glide when you need to, and knowing the difference. Knowing the difference. All right.
Can I say something
You
also,
absolutely can.
which is very important? In my line of work, I get a lot of my clients have detached parents for
Yeah.
whatever reason. Okay. Some with the best intention to provide goods to the kids in education. Some because the only thing they knew was mistreating people. But I want you to notice you are never alone. There is always going to be someone or many in your lifetime that are going to nurture you, that are going to be that figure that gives you that love, that security, that nurturing that you always needed.
And they're probably
And
already there.
yes, and they are there
Allow
because
them to love you.
yes, absolutely. Uh, so many of my clients get stuck in childhood with this trauma that they become blind to the other people that come here in their
And
lifetime.
they're lined up to do it. They
Yes,
really are. They really are. So I know this is maybe a thing, but no, we're all here for you. This is really important work, and there are plenty of people who want to love you. All right, so we got monarchs on butterflies in whatever forms they come. I'm not. I'm mooning. I'm trying not to moon you today, so I won't do that. Robin will moon you. Oh no, you won't. All right, so here comes Robin. Thank you, guys.
Well, we're going to go moon everybody. Yeah, I will moon you. Okay, that's a good invitation. So we have 2 moons this month. We have the flowering moon, which just happened. And then at the end of the moon, we like literally on the first, we had the flowering moon. And they were going to be having a blue moon on the 31st, the 30th. I think it's the 30th. Yeah. So we have this dynamic energy. And people might think, well, we've got the one moon and then the next moon. The moons are working together. So it's really important to be able to realize that I'm going to give you a couple different metaphors with that, and we'll work our way through the moons and all that kinds of stuff. But the flowering moon can be misinterpreted as this gentle moon that the blooming flower comes out and it's looking beautiful. And yes, that's an energy, but what did it take to get there? There had to be persistence. There had to be the planting in cold soil and basically being in a place of being patient and allowing the process. And we've been in this process. Oh my gosh, from the beginning of the year, we've had all these things that have basically been, pushing and pulling and just doing doing a number on us. So we've had this invitation of like, what do I want to be able to allow to grow and give it the time that it needs? And sometimes it may feel like we're not doing anything. So it's really important to realize that, yes, things are happening beneath the surface. So I just love the idea of, the Almanac gave us 2 different things within the 2 days. And I always just kind of so tickled whenever we say, okay, what are we going to talk about? Because the Almanac literally gives it to us. And then Spirit kind of takes that and says, okay, let's wing it. And this is how we're going to go. So the first was talking about dandelions will show up when it's time to plant your carrots and your beets. And if you think about that, when it comes to levels of planting, we're talking about the flowering and putting things in the soil and having that patience and persistence. So what do carrots do? They're helping with our vision. They're helping us with a place of being able to be seeing what is happening and being in that present moment, which I just really loved. And the ground of that is basically the message from that is coming from dandelion. And boy, if you know anything on an herbology level, dandelions are one of the best things that basically can help you to be in a place of balance on a continual level, helping to ground you, helping to give you great foundations, and giving you some bravery. Because they always kind of think, and with dandelions too, it's also the sun and also the moon. Because when it has its yellow flowers, it's representing the sun cycles, and then it goes into the orb, the beautiful seed of the dandelion when you get ready to blow all the seeds out and have it go everywhere. That it's basically the moon and having it being that. So just kind of seeing how we've got this cycles of everything just showing us just on such a planetary and galactic level of what's really happening. I just think it's so beautiful. And then coming in from the flowering moon, again, it's these overweaving energies that are working together that are showing us what needs to be happening with all that. And the blue moon, once in a blue moon, then we won't have another of these 2 moons together like this until December of 28. So this is very auspicious. looking at, what's the invitations, what are the things that we can be working on, and then moving into that. So the blue moon, and to me, is really working to the monarch energy. It's a cocooned, crystalline of working with those energies, having it be in what it doesn't look like nothing's going on, but we know when it comes to, what's happening for a butterfly, lots is going on. And part of that, I think, is having a level of detachment, because it's detaching from the way I have been and moving into a way that I can be. And, detachment is not loss. It's basically setting us up for something better. And if we can be in that place of embracing detachment and really being in a place where we can just see that, it's a sense of coming into a different alignment that doesn't get complicated, it simplifies what matters. And I think, boy, that's such a powerful message to just sit with for a second. I'm being invited to really embrace the simple things of life. And boy, I know that just like, what is bringing me joy? What has always made me happy? What are things that I can have out there that on a continuous, on a daily basis, I love this tea and I'm going to have a tea moment and be able to sip that tea. It gives us those opportunities to be able to be in a detached level. At one point I was, being a florist, I'm always looking at different ways to design and different kinds of things. And I think I've shared the story before. But we know here in Riverside, we have this event that's called Art Alive. And it's all these painters that basically provide paintings. And we go to an art museum and we have interior decorators and florists and people creatives that want to go ahead and take that painting and expand it out into a 3D way. So imagine like a painting of a garden. And then you come into it. It's just like it's this real garden that kind of folds into the painting. So different kinds of things like that, depending on what was the topic of the subject matter, the florist or designer would basically take that and have an expression of it out in more in a collective designed way. And I just really love that, because it's a matter of like, I'm just going to allow myself to do whatever. And I always loved being able to do that. But one time I was there and I was doing my display, and upstairs there was an ikebana display. And I'd always really loved to do that. That's Japanese floral arranging that basically started by the monks. And the monks basically would create this simple line that basically was sacred geometry that would be there to honor spirit and just the altered area of the being that they were celebrating. And I just thought, wow, I really wanted to learn that, right? So I go and talk to the curator and get the name and all that. And I wound up having this just profound teacher that was down in Orange County that there's no way I would have been able to connect with her. It was just such a synchronistic thing that happened with all that. But the bottom line with that was she started teaching me how to be able to do design in a different way. She'd have a certain amount of flowers or greens and things like that that I would design with. And I would put something together. And then she'd say, okay, well, take it apart and do something else. And I was like, what? Why would I do that? I just created something I was very happy with. Because in detachment, I can simplify that, knowing that something better could be just on the horizon for me. And I would be able to allow myself to have that new experience of just taking something that I thought was just perfect and moving it into something that I had never even thought about. And I think that's what we're really talking about with this monarch energy. What is cocooned that's ready to come out of the chrysalis? And by the end of the month, it's going to be something that I'd never dreamed for myself. So this is a really great opportunity to be doing some journaling and maybe create just like a wish journal of like things that you'd love to have happening for yourself. And be guided by the magic and just inviting all of that in. We talked last week about, having wonderful gifts and delightful surprises. Just having that kind of a thing of just like, Spirit, show me what I could lean into that has a synergy to it, that has this way of being able to move me to the next thing. And I'm going to be very detached to what that is. This is also a month of detachment when it comes to just being generous and not having any kind of, you don't have to give me anything back for that. I'm going to go ahead and just give you something out of the fact that this feels like the right thing to do. I'm going to share information. I have a gift. I have something else. I'm feeling prompted to do something. And spirit and the alignments of that is going to be magnified in a way that it's never been before. So it's really exciting. I look forward to us being able to share those kinds of things in the chat and just say, wow, this happened today. So, I would love for us, maybe next week or this whole month, if something really happens, then you basically just have to say, I have a monarch butterfly story. And, whatever that was for manifesting in the way that something got created. I've really lived by, as I give to another, I give to myself. And I always want to give my best, because it's a matter of having that something that will always come back to me, triple fold, or however it wants to come. I'm going to detach from that and really allow it to be in that just really wonderful place with all that. So like looking at that, we can go back to the caterpillar and really look at the caterpillar itself. That's about growth and just having this appetite for life. I'm going to feed myself the things that I need to do. I'm going to seed myself with these things, knowing that I can detox and let go of the things that no longer matter. And then as I go into the chrysalis, I can have a detachment. I can allow myself to be open to, like, what am I turning into? What's the newness? What is something that could be new and also a true? And it comes a sense of alignment of something that I've never thought about before. And then, by the end of the month, hey, we're butterflies. Amy's already got her wings, which is great. So we have new ways of flying in the world, new ways of being able to have flight. And I really love that we're talking about flight and talking about air. Because if you go back to the moons, we're looking at the Aries alignments that are happening right now. And what is that about? Air. That's the air energy. So air is about freedom. It's about being in this place of just being in a place of new flight and gliding. And Amy was really great. We were talking about this yesterday, and she says, I'm going to glad baby glide into June. So we're just really looking at, how will my gliding be? And what does that look like for myself? And can I be in a gliding state and also be very productive in the way that I move and do things in the world? So I'd love to have anybody, if anything that comes up for you with just having a sense of just seeing generosity in a way that you hadn't noticed before. Maybe being open to having those conversations that you're like, gosh, I never thought I could have that conversation. And they're happening. They're happening in a way that I can just be in a place of just being open and opening with grace and love, and just knowing that it can be perfect. I can be authentic in the way that I talk, but I also can be in a place of just being open to what I can be receiving from that person in the way that they want to have that. So anybody want to share something that's come up for them from anything that we've presented today? Maria, I feel like you have something.
While you were talking, I felt the need to pull up a card from
Okay.
Yay.
my favorite deck, which
Okay,
is
cool.
called The Secret Language of Light
Mm.
by Denise Jarvie. So these came here. It's the 11 card called Remembrance, right? And in my time, we start this Flowerful Living Healing Hour at 11. So your guidance is telling me is that today and this week, pay attention when you see 11, 11, right? It is remembering the wisdom of your heart. This card is telling you, I'm trying, see how beautiful it is. So you are in the middle. You could see the heart line in there. And you could see your body and bodies in there surrounded by your soul. So, what is? Remember who you are, pure love. You are nurture. You're beautiful. You're being supported. Even if when you feel the world is caving into your life, you're being supported. So when you see 11, 11, 11, remember who you are. You're your mother, you're your moon, you're your butterfly. So go to your heart and thank yourself for being this great, wonderful being beyond the illusion of the incarnation. Just remember, that's why this one came out.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you, Maria. See, I knew you had something. Okay. Any of you ladies would like to share?
I think I'm in the gliding period. Um, eh, I think because of my nature, I like to be very active. But when I'm not active, I feel like I'm not doing enough. But
Uh,
uh, but just yesterday, I was also, sitting in my bed, kind of meditating, and I ask myself, am I stuck? And then I said, there's always movement, even if we don't see it. So I'm in the gliding period of acceptance, gracefully, because everything that I have, and I just don't need to be active all the time. Just appreciating the moment that I'm in, and knowing that at some point I will have more clarity of my next steps. Eh,
beautiful.
so
That,
let's
oh
see.
God, that's so perfect.
Let's
So
see what
perfect.
let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Regarding the mother love, I think that the best figure that I can think of is my father. Was super
No,
was very, very sweet, and always had beautiful words to say, and that's in my experience. And I also rely a lot on my sisters. Um, so especially my older sister that it's in this call. She's super kind and loving. So every time that I need kind of a um, nurture, love, I go to her. That's it.
yay,
That's wonderful. That's
that's
wonderful. Thank you.
huge.
Anybody else want to share? Well, we always want to invite you
Wait,
guys to
wait a
go over.
minute.
Oh,
I see
go ahead.
somebody moving for a button.
Okay, we're moving for a button. Move for a button.
Well, I just wanted to share that what Fabi said. I feel I'm also gliding, but I feel like I have been gliding for a long time, and I want to, start flapping those wings. Um, I need the impulse to continue in the path that I think is the direction that I'm moving towards. But yes, I have been gliding, and I have been a little bit uncomfortable with so much gliding. But I have certainty that things will transpire as they should in the perfect time. Yeah. So that's it.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
It's
Bobby.
all about awareness, man. It's always
Mhm.
like, wonder what's happening. And kind of where you were talking, I was thinking you kind of flap in a direction, right? And make a choice, flap towards it, and then you go like, that's not it, and that's okay. You can redirect your flapping. And we have each other to help with that. We have each other to help with that. Robin, we can't hear you. Are you untie us
Oh,
together with a pretty bow?
yeah, sure. I'm just like turnarounds are always allowed. So that's I think that's part of what this month is about too. It's just being very present and also being in a place of just really open to detachment and synchronicities and allowing yourself to just be in that place of just a place of ease. Whether, I'm flapping really good or not. And we can always ask spirit of like, give me some inklings of the next thing that would be a something to have me doing my wings. When my wings are ready to do something, what would that look like? I think that's really great. So, thank you ladies for sharing. I think this is always a great topic. I look forward to seeing how this evolves through the month as, we're talking about it on just, we want to try to give a deeper, kind of a longer perspective with the almanac and what that can look like for everybody. So I look forward to seeing how this evolves with everything. So we thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time here in the Healing Hour.
Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you so much.